Welcome to the February 2025 Denver metro area update. We're going to talk about three different sections of the Denver metro area. First, what is the Denver metro area when we're talking about our my MLS? Second is specifically Arapahoe County and zip code 80016. Arapahoe County is the county that I live in, and also 80016 is the specific code, zip code that I live in. This is Bill, and if you have any questions, of course, feel free afterwards to put any comments below. But first, let's give a little bit of definition as to our MLS and what the Denver Metro County is. So the Denver Metro area counties are 11 counties, and they are specifically Adams County, Arapahoe County, Boulder, Broomfield, Clear Creek, Denver, Douglas County, Elbert County, Gilpin, Jefferson, and Park. And then the next section that I have in terms of bar charts is, of course, Arapahoe County and zip code 80016, which in other videos I call your hometown to go ahead and make things simpler. So this is just a quick introduction of how the Denver Metro update is structured, and hopefully that is something that will make sense. We're going to cover 10 different statistics that I look at. So when I'm helping buyers and sellers, I have a good idea of what's happening in the market and how to help the specific buyer or the seller, and then of course based on the particular price range that they're working for. So the first one that we're going to go ahead and talk about excuse me, is the overall general description of what's happening. And like I said, we'll go ahead and talk about the first chart. Now in all these charts, we're going to go ahead and basically talk about 2023, 2024, and 2025, and specifically the month of February, so we have a good comparison in terms of year to date from month to month, February, and February 23, 24, and 25. So the first chart we're looking at is basically the new listings that come in, that come onto the market in February. So February new listings in 2023 was 62,873, and that is the Denver metro area. And then there was 55,187 in 24, and this year in 25 for February was 62,689, which pretty much matched the number of new listings that came on the market in February of 2023. Then we're going to move specifically to Arapahoe County, which had 12,048 new listings in 23, and then in 24 it was 10,191, and then in 25 it's 11,269. Again, same situation, is it was fairly high in 23, dipped a little bit in 24, and then came back up a little bit in 25. Then we moved to zip code 80016, your hometown. And in 23 it was 1,410, in 24 it was 1,065, and then this year in 25 it was 12,220. Excuse me, let's try that again. Was 12,022 properties. So it was about almost a 15% increase from 2024. So that gives me an idea that the inventory is moving back up. There was a little bit of change in 2024, but I attribute that to probably people concerned about the interest rates and wanting to not put their house on the market at that time. And then we're going to move to active listings at the end of the year, how many active listings there were. So with this particular chart, February active listings, it tells you how many active listings were at the end of the month that did not go under contract. So again, if you look at 2023, there was about 6,419. In 24, there was 7,127. And then in 25 was 10,432, and that's in the Denver metro area. Then we moved to specifically Arapahoe County, which was 1,079 in 23, 1,166 in 24, and then in 25 was 1,834. Then the same thing, it follows almost the same pattern. In zip code 80016, your hometown, it was 154 in 23, 155 in 24, and 210 in 25. Again, that's actually a pretty good thing, because what it does is it lets you know that in terms of you as a buyer, that there was the ability that there was more inventory for you to look at. And we'll talk a little bit later of why the higher numbers are very beneficial for you. Now then, of course, as a seller, there's other considerations that we can go ahead and talk about. And then the next thing we're going to look at in the third chart is called days in the MLS, or what we call DOM, days on the market. And that is, how long it takes for the property to go under contract once it goes into our MLS. In other words, it might take 7 days for a specific property. Some days it might just be 2. Other days it could potentially go ahead and be, like 3 or 4 days on the market. So when we're looking at it here, as you can see, in 2023, in the metro area, it was 21 days on the market as an average for properties to go under contract. In 24, it was 32 days on the market, and in 25, it was 40 days on the market, and that was the whole Denver metro area. When you look at Arapahoe County, in 23, it was 19 days on the market. In 24, it was 28 days. And then in 25, it was 37 days. Then we look at the green or forest green bar, which is zip code 80016. And in 23, it was 26 days. In 24, it was 41 days. And in 25, it is 46 days in the month of February. So what you're looking at then is that shows that there was probably more inventory that was coming on the market, and about the same amount of buyers that were in the market. So they weren't necessarily able to see as many properties. What I mean by that is that let's assume that you have 10 buyers in the market and there are 10 homes to go ahead and see. Well, the chances of the 10 buyers all seeing the 10 homes is pretty good. But now let's say all of a sudden we go ahead and jump up and that there are 30 or 40 homes, but still the same number of buyers, 10 buyers. Well, the chances of the 10 buyers seeing all 30 or 40 homes is actually a lot less, because they're going to run into something. So maybe after 5 or 7 properties that they've seen, they decide to put an offer on, so they don't go ahead and see the other other 20 or 30 homes that are available. So again, this is one of the reasons why it's really a good time for buyers to get into the market and take a look at what's available. Now we're going to go ahead and go into the fourth graph, which is basically called months of inventory. And when we look at that, what that means is that if you look at how many months of inventory do we have, if no other homes came on the market, how long would it take to get all those properties under contract? So when we look at basically in 2023, there was about 1.3 months of inventory. And if you look at 24, there was 1.8. And in 25, there was 2.7. And that's in the 11 counties in the Denver metro area. Specifically, Arapahoe County, it was 1.1 months in 23, 1.5 months in 24, and then 2.6 months in 25. So when you look at, let's look at last year, 1.5 months, that was probably somewhere like a month and a half, or what we'd say would be approximately about 45 days. Now let's again look at months of inventory in your hometown, 80016. In 23, it was 1.4. In 25, it was 1.9. and in 25 it was 2.8. So basically, it was a little bit less than about 45 days of available inventory in 23, almost 60 days in 2024, and now in 25 it was about 82 days. Again, the homes are taking a little bit longer to go ahead and go under contract. So we're going to go ahead and then move on to the number of showings in February per listing. Again, when we look at that, the market was a little bit hotter in 2023, which means that in 2023 in the Denver metro area, there were about 8.6 showings on the average per listing. And in 2024, there was 6.9 showings as an average. And in 2025, there was 5.6 showings in the Denver metro area on that. So let's look at Arapahoe County. Arapahoe County was fairly popular when you compare it to the other properties. In 2023, there were 9.4 showings per property, and then in 2024 it was 7.6, and then in 2025 it was 5.7. Moving a little bit further on, if you look at the your hometown 80016, 7.1 in 23, 6.4 in 24, and 5.4 in 25. Again, more inventory is coming up, and so the number of showings per property is a little bit reduced. Again, this is a good indicator for the buyers in terms of the ability to go ahead and take a look at properties and not feel like that they have to make a decision right away. Otherwise, that property is going to go ahead and be gone. So a little bit more relaxing ability to maybe do a little bit more negotiating now in 2025 than it was in, say, 2024 or definitely in 2023. We're going to go ahead and move along to the video the bar charts for number 6. Now, this particular graph here, a bar chart of February pending listings, is what we would call basically the number of listings that have gone under contract. So when you again look at this, if you look at in 2023, 52,139 properties went under contract in the 11 counties in the Denver metro area. And then in 24, it was 45,396. And then in 25, it was 46,378 properties that went under contract. Pretty much following everything else. There was a little bit of a dip in 24, and then it's coming back up in 25 for the month of February. Arapahoe County, when we look at that, it's a little bit different here. It's 10,285 in 23, 8,718 in 24, and then in 25 it's 8,554, which is a little bit less than 2024, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Let's look at your hometown, 80016. In 23, it was 1,183 properties that went under contract, and in 24, it was 884 properties. And then in 25, it went 942, so it actually ended up bouncing up a little bit. Again, this is one of the reasons why I think that 80016 is one of the best is one of the best zip codes to look at if you're looking to buy a property here in the Aurora Centennial area. Actually, one of the things interesting, as I've talked in other words, is that the 80016 zip code covers Aurora, Centennial, Foxfield, and also a small portion of Douglas County. But we'll talk more about that in other videos. So we're going to go ahead and move on to what we know as the average closing price of the properties, and you'll see some pretty interesting things here that makes zip code 80016 to me stand out from some of the other zip codes. In 2023, in the Denver metro counties, the average close price was $695,639 in 23. In 24 was $692,607, and in 25 February was $710,828. So again, we had a little bit of a dip in 2024, but things are coming back up. And in fact, in the metro area, the average home prices have gone up a little bit from the 695,639 to 710,828. Again, if we look at say Arapahoe County, 606,08. Let's try that again. $606,008. Boy, I can't say that worth beans, can I? $600,608 is what 2023 was in Arapahoe County as an average price closed. And in 2024, it was $620,636. And then in 27, it was $627,042. Again, as you can see, it has actually gone up from 23 to 24 to 25, which is a real positive. Now, one of the nice things is that's the exact same thing that happened in your hometown, 80016. In 23, it was $776,531 as the average closed price. And then we went up a little bit in 24, and it went up to $784,163. And again, woohoo, I'm happy, is February of this year, it went up to $792,089. You know, the nice thing is that it didn't go up a lot, but at least it went up about 1%. Even though many people are thinking that the market isn't that good, that prices are dropping, you have to look at what the final sales price year to year to really get a good idea of exactly what's going on. And then we still see the same thing as we move on to the eighth chart, which is basically your median close price. And again, median price basically means half of the homes that sold are priced at is above this price, and half of the homes that are closed is below this price, versus an average where you basically add them all together and then divide it by the number of homes that actually have sold, which gives it a slightly different price, which is why it's called the average price. So much for my ability to explain the mathematics of it. But median home closed prices in 2023 in the Denver metro area, it was 590,000. In 24, it was 580,000. So again, there was a little bit of a drop there. And then in 25, it was 595,000, which means that it jumped back up to actually exceed what had occurred in 23, which was 590,000. Moving along, we have Arapahoe County statistics. In 23, it was 525,000. And then again, a little bit of a dip in 24, which is 519,000. And then it went up again, back up to the median sales price of 2023. In 2025, Arapahoe County went back up to 525,000. Now, as we go further and look again at the forest green bar, which is zip code 80016, we saw that it was 748,649. In 24, it actually jumped up a bit, 763,000. And now again in 25, it jumped up to 765,000. So again, there is a nice steady increase for your hometown if you are looking to go ahead and buy a property here in 80016, or if you're a seller, you're kind of really happy that the market is still going up for you and it's not dropping compared to some other properties in places in the Denver metro area. So we're going to go ahead and move along to the number 9, which is what I call the the chart that lets me know how much negotiating power the seller has, how much negotiating power the buyer has. So the average closing price compared to the list price is what I'm talking about when I say that. So back in 2023, if you look at the Denver metro area, they're basically, you had to offer at least full price, if not above, 101.2%. And that was a little bit less, but still close to list price of 99.2%, or otherwise it would be, you know, eight tenths lower than what the list price is. And then in 25, it was basically about 1.2% as an average in terms of what you could offer in terms of the list price. In Arapahoe County, it was again 101.9, so it was actually higher than the Denver metro area. You almost had to bid about 2% higher than whatever the list price was. So again, easy math, if it was $100,000 home, you'd have to probably bid $102,000 to be able to get your offer accepted. In 24, in Arapahoe County, it was 99.7. So again, it's the same thing. You pretty much had to go ahead and bid what the list price is, and maybe less than, if it was $1,000 home, maybe $300 less, that type of, or 3,000 less. Excuse me, my math always gets a little bit thrown off. In 2025, it was the same thing, pretty close to 99% of the list price. So then we move to your hometown, which is the green bar, 101% in 23, close to list price in 24, and now in 25, there is a little bit of more negotiating room. You could offer maybe 1.1% less. But again, keep in mind, we are at a slightly higher sales price than the rest of the Denver area when you're comparing the Denver metro as an average compared to Arapahoe County as an average. So that's actually not a bad thing if the average close price to list price is a little bit less. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and look at the median price percentage of close price to list price, which again, when you look right across the board of everything, it is pretty much close to 100% of the list price. And so there isn't a lot of ability to offer substantially lower. Now you may be hearing in the market that prices are dropping, and they give the statistics that you could do a really good deal. But when you really look at it, if you're looking as an example in the zip code of 80016, if you're buying a property for $700,000 and the list price is $700,000, you may be able to go ahead and knock off about $3,000 or $4,000. And again, if you're looking at an $800,000 property, again, you may be able to go a little bit less than that, but you're not going to be able to go as a general rule 1, 2, or 3%, because with 800,000, if you're knocking off 1%, that's basically $8,000. If you were to knock off 2% of an $800,000 property, that would be 16. And if you were trying to go ahead and offer a price 3% below the list price of an $8,000 property, that means you would be putting in an offer of $24,000 less than the $800,000. And so what this statistic shows me as a person working for the buyer or the seller, that we have to have different types of strategies if you're a buyer to try to get you the best possible price. And sometimes the best deal is actually getting the property. And then looking at the fact that you're moving into a zip code that is continuously appreciating. So if you have any questions, I hope all this information was helpful for you, and that if you like the information I provided, please go ahead and like below, or please call me if you have specific questions as to if you're a buyer, what you should do or how you should go about it, and or as a seller, what you should do and how you should go about it. And I know sometimes sellers are saying, well, when I see these statistics, I'll just go ahead and bump up my price to cover that difference. But that's not always the case, because you still have to look at on the whole where the market is and what the specifics are for your particular price range. Because again, depending where you are in 80016, there are actually some townhomes and condos that are right around 300,000, but then there's also homes that are over 1 or 2 million in 80016. And depending on where, what price range you are, requires different strategies and different types of ways of approaching of either selling the home or buying the home. Well, that's it for right now, and I hope you've really enjoyed this presentation. I will be doing this on a regular basis, so to keep you updated as what's happening in February, March, April, May, June, throughout the year. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. I'm Bill Fung. I've been in the business for well over 35 years, and really look forward to helping you helping you whenever I can. Thanks. Have a great day.